Hey, what's going on everyone? I'm Bricko and welcome to my LEGO Legacy character tier list for October 2020. Quite a bit has changed in these last few months, so let's jump right into it, starting with the Diamond tier. The first character here is Willa, and her with Basil is one of the best duos in the game, and if you put them in almost any other team, you can make it way more effective. Although she does work best in a spooky or castle team. Speaking of castle, next we have Magisto, who is the cornerstone of the castle faction. So if you're going to run castle, you need to have Magisto there for the team to really work. Although castle is currently not the best team for arena, pirates are a way better alternative, and that's why Redbeard and Scarlet are the next two characters on this list. These two are similar to Willa and Basil in the sense that they are a very powerful duo. Scarlet is one of the best tanks in the entire game, and Redbeard is good at pretty much everything else. He can do huge amounts of damage, he has great control with his stun and disarmed, and he can also heal your pirate team and cleanse debuffs from them. And all around, I would say that Redbeard is the best character in the entire game, with Master Wu being the second best, and was also next in this tier. Master Wu is a very powerful unit in almost any team. I would say that he's the best plug-and-play unit. So you can stick him in a space team, a castle team, a pirate team, obviously a Ninjago team, and get great use out of him. Although he is a master event character that requires pirates to actually unlock him. So personally, that's why I recommend that new players farm Redbeard, Scarlet, Argenta, Bart, and Darwin to at least 6 stars when they're first starting out, and that should set you up to unlock Wu and do very well in the gold event, and basically just give you a great start in LEGO Legacy. Speaking of Ninjago, the next character here is Garmadon, who is a new addition to this list. He is a very slow Brickspedition farm, but even at 2 or 3 stars, he is incredibly effective and very viable in Arena. Pretty much everyone that runs Ninjago in Arena is also running their low star Garmadon because of just the insane attack bonuses and everything that he gives to the Ninjago team. Then we have Aurora, and specifically this is talking about Aurora with the Ice Glider set, because with the Arctic Ice Glider, that can allow Aurora to revive characters after they've been defeated over and over, which as you can imagine can be very powerful, especially in PvE. She's not quite as viable for PvP, but in any type of PvE game mode, especially like Brickspedition, she is one of the best characters. Then we have Gorwell, who is currently the best space unit in the entire game. She got a nice little touch-up with the recent space update and was made a bit more effective. Now she's currently not farmable, but she will be made more accessible very soon, alongside raids once those release. And then finally in this tier we have another new addition, Egon. He is a very powerful and very viable Ghostbuster unit that in my opinion is the best of the 5. Then we have the Platinum tier, and at the top here is Barnabas and Jester, two very powerful castle units that work very well with Magisto. Those 3 are often called the King's Court Trio, but like I mentioned earlier, they are not currently the meta and not very viable in Arena. Then we have Basil, who I decided to put in Platinum, but I would say the duo of Willa and Basil together would be in Diamond, but by himself, I think Basil is a solid Platinum tier character. Then we have 3 very good pirates, Hank, Bart, and Valiant. Hank is a fantastic attacker. He can do over 10k in one hit. Bart has the best single target heal in the entire game, and it's only a 2-turn cooldown, so it is incredibly powerful. And Valiant is a pretty solid pirate tank and also a little bit of a healer. I would say that Valiant is the worst pirate of the 3 in this tier, but he's still pretty good. Although he does share a store now with Scarlet, and you should prioritize taking Scarlet to 7 stars before you even consider farming Valiant. Then we have 3 very powerful Ninjago units, Lloyd, Jay, and Kai. Kai moved up here from the gold tier. With this update and with Garmadon being released, Kai really deserves to be in this tier. His AoE can hit for over 15k. I've seen him do over 22,000 damage on his basic. He is an absolutely insane attacker and definitely deserves to be in this tier. Jay is also incredibly powerful, a great support unit. He can give great buffs. All around just makes the Ninjago team way better. And Lloyd, of course, is critical to a Ninjago team. He gives stealth, and he can heal himself. He can gain dodgy, all kinds of powerful mechanics. But most of that will really work better with Wu. They're like that dodgy and the longer duration for the stealth. So similar to Basil and Willa, I think together Wu and Lloyd are solidly in the diamond tier, but without Wu, I think Lloyd is in the platinum tier. And overall, I think that the Ninjago faction is just really solid and deserves to be in this tier. After that, we have Highwayman, who is another fantastic attacker and can do thousands and thousands of damage. Some of his hits can also get over 10,000. He's no longer as effective as he once was, since he doesn't really fit into as many teams, since faction tags are very valuable, like Kai having Ninjago synergy is better than putting Highwayman in there, even if Highwayman did do more damage, which he does not. Then we have two of the Ghostbuster characters, Winston and Slimer. Winston is a very solid tank and very useful alongside Egon. Same thing with Slimer, except he is a very powerful attacker. He can do tons of damage and also hide under stealth. Slimer is also a spooky unit, meaning that he works really well with Basil and Willa, and we may see him show up more in the future in that type of team and not so much in a Ghostbuster team. Moving right along, with the gold tier, we have Princess Storm here at the top. She is a very powerful castle attacker, but unfortunately she also has a taunt, which can make it pretty easy for the enemy team to target her down and get her out of the battle before she starts doing large amounts of damage. And then we have another spooky character, Yorick. He is a pretty solid unit. He can do quite a bit of damage and increase the damage to your team, although he doesn't have the best survivability, which is why he's in this tier. Then we have Argenta, who is a very good pirate attacker and a character you should be farming very early on when you first start the game. She's very useful even in a mid or late game team, and of course she can be used in the gold event. Then we have Zane, who is one of my favorites, although in a Ninjago team you're typically going to want to use other characters instead of him, so he's not very useful in the end game, but in the early to mid he can be quite effective, and like I said, I quite like the character. Then we have Firefighter Ash, who I moved down here from Platinum. I feel like she didn't quite deserve to be in Platinum because of how weak city teams currently are, and I have not seen Ash in Arena in months, so there are better alternatives if you need a powerful attacker than her, and also she is an Arena farm where you should be prioritizing Scarlet as a new player. To her right, we have Chef, who moved up here from the silver tier last time. He can be a fantastic healer when paired with the Ice Glider, because he will do even more healing because he gives buffs, which then heals the city team even further. After him, we have 5 of the space units all in this tier. As you probably know, the space reworks and the space update just recently occurred, and a lot of these characters got made a lot better, such as Commander Cold and Kelvin, who both moved up a tier. Reed and Locust pretty much stayed at the same place, and Quincy is a brand new addition to this list. However, none of them are very viable to the point where they make it into the Diamond or Platinum tier, but together they can form a decent team, and at the moment I think they're missing gens to really make them viable. He is a new character that's going to be coming soon alongside Raids, so you should expect him to see in my next tier list whenever that will be. After them, we have 4 collectible units. Fitness Instructor and Hiker are 2 very good healers, and Hiker is going to be very powerful early on. Hiker, Redbeard, Argenta, Scarlet, and Cook Bart is probably going to be your main team as a new player all the way up to the mid game. So Hiker is very useful, and Fitness Instructor is also a very good healer, and she can also give some really nice attack bonuses. Yuppie is a powerful unit because he can bring a character back after they have been defeated, but he doesn't have the greatest survivability, thus why he's in this tier. But paired with a character like Aurora, he can be pretty effective, and you can get some interesting things to happen. And then we have Yeti, who is a personal favorite of mine. In the correct team with certain chill characters, he can do well over 14,000 damage, which is quite a bit, but outside of his chill team, he's not that viable, thus why he's in the gold tier. Then we have 2 new additions to this list, 2 of the new Ghostbuster characters, Ray and Venkman. These were the 2 unboxed characters, and both were pretty solid. These are 2 pretty good attacker/support units that of course work really well in a Ghostbuster team, but can also be decent outside of that. As we move to the silver tier, you can see 3 castle units here at the top. These are the 3 worst castle units of the faction, with Verda probably being the best one that you're going to want to go after anyway, because you will need 5 castle units at 5 stars to unlock Officer Primo, who is also here in this silver tier. So if that's something you care about, you may want to farm Verda anyway, even though she's not that viable. Then we have Spooky Girl, who is a pretty good attacker, but still not top tier. Then we have 3 pirate units, Darwin, Lee, and Governor. Darwin is the best of the 3, and I actually do recommend that you farm him as a new player up to about 6 stars to complete those harder tiers of the gold event. But him as a character by himself is not as viable as some of the other ones. Lee and Governor are 2 brick pace farms, and between the 2, Governor is a much better character than Lee, but I still didn't feel like he deserved to be in the gold tier, which is where I put him last time, so I decided to move him down into the silver tier. Both these characters are very slow and painful farms, yet they are not that viable even in a full Imperial team. After those pirates, we have 5 city units, Primo, Trent, Chuck, Sal, and Poppy. Primo moved down here from the gold tier because we've had more time to test him out, and unfortunately he's not as viable as some of us had hoped. And then we have Trent, who is a pretty decent city attacker, not exactly top tier, but not a bad character either. Then we have 2 city tanks. Between the 2, Sal is much better, but Chuck isn't bad as well, and with the Arctic Ice Glider set, Sal can continuously heal himself, and that is really helpful for a tank. And Poppy actually got a rework in the most recent update, and she became more viable, still not a top tier healer, but not as bad as she once was, and now she sits comfortably in the silver tier. Kartovsky also got a rework with this update, and personally I decided to leave him in the silver tier. He may have been moved up to the gold tier, but personally I haven't been able to test Kartovsky too much since I don't even have him unlocked. Then we have Clockwork Robot, who is a new addition to this list. He is not the most viable unit at the moment. Maybe in the future when other techie units are released, he might have a shot, but right now he is not that great. And then we have Demolition Dummy, who has some potential and can do a lot of damage, but he dies pretty quickly and isn't too useful in most teams. And then finally we have the bronze tier with LeQuay here first, who is a pretty bad pirate character, and there are currently a lot of pirate alternatives, so even if you were going for a full pirate team, you should not go for LeQuay. And his actual stats and abilities aren't that great. Then we have Zombie. Currently Zombie is in the bronze tier, but I suspect that will change pretty soon once the Ghost is released very shortly here at the end of October. But at the moment he is not that viable, and really all he's good for is just to die. Great White and Nia are 2 Ninjago units that are not that viable, and there are many other good Ninjago alternatives. And then similarly, Minor Clay and Iggy are 2 pretty poor city units, and there are a lot of other city units that are much better than these 2. Minor Clay might have some potential in the future, but at the moment they're not very viable. And then unfortunately my guy Dwayne is down here in this tier as well. He got nerfed with the most recent space update, and there are simply better space units to go after instead. And then we have 3 costumed figures down here, Hot Dog Guy, Cactus Girl, and Chicken Suit Guy. Hot Dog Guy and Cactus Girl are not amazing characters. Cactus Suit Girl can be pretty good early on to help get through some Piptown campaigns. Other than that, she's not too viable. And Chicken Suit Guy will actually be like your best unit until you hit like level 30, and then his damage will start to completely fall off, and he becomes a very ineffective character, and you're probably going to want to swap to someone else on this tier list. And that's about it for this video. If you have any questions, feel free to join the Discord server and ask around. We have a lot of awesome people there that will help you with any questions you may have about the game. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.